Hey, welcome back to Don't Run with Scissors. I'm Kelly, your favorite Jeep driving lawyer, mom of twins, three crazy rescue dogs, who likes to craft, is training for Ironman, and has gone back to school to be a sign language interpreter. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome to the crazy. You may want to grab a drink, because, yeah. Go ahead and hit the like and subscribe buttons. It sends me a little note, which boosts my self-esteem. And, given everything in the world, can't we all just use a little boost to our self-esteem? If you're returning, welcome back. I've missed you. It's been a really long week. There may be some tears for those of you who, yeah. So I'm just going to prep you there. So it is Monday, February 28th, which happens to be Rare Disease Day. So if you have a rare disease or condition health-wise like me, happy day. Do something fun for yourself. We are on midwinter break here from school, which, thank you. Like, I needed it. I've got a ton of paperwork from the office that I can catch up. I'm going to try, fingers crossed, to get as much done in biology. It's not self-paced in that she's got deadlines for things so that you finish the course in the course time. But she does, you can work ahead. So I'm hoping to get at least the next 2 modules done. I think we have 4 left. We for sure have 3. We may have 4. So I'm going to hope that we can get that done. I'd like to get a couple things done around the house. But then I saw an ad last night where one-way tickets to Orlando are $55. And I'm going to tell you all that it took every ounce of me not to buy some tickets to Orlando for the week. Because while I have a court hearing, I think I have 2. I for sure have one. And I have some things that have to be filed. As long as I have access to my computer and Wi-Fi, I could do those from anywhere. Friday, I have an appointment with my pain management doctor, and we're going to do injections into my SI joints, but I could bump that another week. Do you see the dilemma here? Because it's Michigan, and it's going into March. So, again, it took, there's still a big pull, to be fair. So this last week, I had several court hearings. They all went really well. I'm really grateful to, there's been some judges. One of my favorite judges retired, as I've told you guys, and his new person has taken over. Well, they've got some new clerks as a result. It's not a very, there's a learning curve there. Let's just put that there. I think that's the best way of saying it. So yeah. But things went well. I've got some stuff I definitely want to get done today. I've already been up. I woke up at 3 o'clock and had to drive to the airport. So a grad student from Columbia flew out this last weekend. And she is doing her master's project on she's highlighting 5 women, which actually may end up being 4 of us, who had the Mirena IUD. And as a result of having that device, developed pseudotumor cerebri, or idiopathic, or in my case, since we know it's not idiopathic, intracranial hypertension, which is the reason I've had to have so many brain surgeries. So she flew out from New York. and spent the weekend kind of shadowing me and um, interviewing me on camera, filming me biking, you know, going to the office and doing things. And um, it was really emotional. I haven't sat down and just sort of shared the entire story. And I don't know that story is the right word, but the entire journey with really anybody other than my lawyer who represented me when we were suing Bayer Pharmaceuticals. That case got dismissed on a technicality, really saying that we didn't have the judge that heard that case. There had been previous cases, and the plaintiffs had won. Then they realized that there were so many of us, and they made it a multi-district litigation, almost like similar to a class action. Um, they said that we didn't have enough scientific evidence of the causal connection. And so the judge that heard our case ended up dismissing our case. I was devastated. And so um, this person came out and she had interviewed the nurse practitioner that worked at Bayer and I think may still work for Bayer. And that person let it out that, yeah, absolutely, Bayer knew. And there was no doubt that Bayer knew that the IUD could cause this, and that anybody who had any woman who had a history of um, migraines, especially, which I had a well documented history of migraines, should not have this put in. And it essentially was like ripping the Band-Aid off that wound. And so, you know, in my effort to make my New Year's resolutions or goals stay, I have decided to give myself a lot of grace this week. I gave myself a lot of grace over the weekend. Because, yeah, you know, through it all, that was one of the things that I just wanted to know that, like, that was the reason. And that I didn't do anything wrong and that I wasn't, you know, I went through 5 years of trying to find a diagnosis, and at one point I had a doctor pull my mom out into the hallway of the ER, and you could still hear them. I mean, and he basically told her that essentially I needed psychiatric treatment, that this was all for attention. I thought they tested me multiple times for MS, for all sorts of things, and nobody should ever have to go through that. Nobody should ever be treated like that by medical profession. And so it was really hard, you know. And then then we finally figured it out, and then, you know, all of the brain surgeries and everything that's happened since, and there was, you know, we still deal with stuff, and I've had to adjust a lot of things. And, you know, I was explaining to her over the weekend, like, my family has just adjusted certain things. Like, we just know, like, you can count on them. Like, you know, I always keep simple meals in my house, not because we're running here and there, but because sometimes, like, if the weather shifts and everything, and I'm feeling like crap, I have to make sure that my kids have meals that they can cook without a whole lot of help or supervision. And we've done that for years, even when they were littler. You know, everything I eat, I'm cognizant of how does it affect, you know, my ICP and all of that. So it there's a lot of feelings right there. And so, yeah, so don't be surprised if going forward I'm not wearing a fuck Bear shirt, because I have a couple t-shirts and I have some vinyl, iron-on vinyl, and I have my Cricut. And yeah, so that may be the new shirt I start sporting. And if you do any research on Bayer Pharmaceuticals, they're a horrible company. Honestly, I'm not opposed to big pharma. I am. There's a lot of good to be done with medicines and things like that. Like, don't get me wrong, but they are a horrible company as far as their ethics. Um, Bayer Pharmaceuticals in their history is one of the companies that manufactured the gas that was used in the gas chambers in Auschwitz and other concentration camps. They are a horrid company. And I will go to my grave saying that they are a horrible company. And it is what it is. Um, so, yeah. So, we had that. And then, I come from a very Polish family. My grandmother is 100% Polish. Um, she's only, my grandparents are only first and second generation born here in America. Um, and so I'm watching what's unfolding in Ukraine. I also have a lot of family in the military. I grew up, my father was in the Army, my brother's in the Army. Um, my grandfather served. I have cousins in different branches of the military. My my one cousin's son is currently in the Air Force. I have another cousin who's active duty Marine. Um, and I'm watching what's unfolding between Russia and Ukraine, and I don't have words. And usually I have a lot of words, and so that's really bizarre, because you guys know I'm a talker. I don't have words. My heart is breaking. I don't have solutions. I'm watching all of the cross-stitch community kind of come together, um, and wanting to show solidarity and stitching Ukrainian pieces and sunflowers. And I'm watching my feed on Instagram, and it's wonderful. And I encourage everybody to do that, and I will be doing that. But remember that just stitching something really doesn't do anything. And I'm sure we've all thought of that, but you've got to do more than just stitch it. Like, and especially because a lot of designers are making these free patterns for us to stitch to show solidarity. And absolutely, we want those on our feed so that, our fellow stitchers and our fellow humans that are in Ukraine know that we're there, that we're here, and we want to support them, and we want to walk alongside them. But this is a country that right now is being decimated, like just attacked. And so, if you're downloading a free pattern, I want to encourage you that in return, maybe the designer isn't asking for something, but turn around and throw $5 or $10, which is, the average pattern is $8 to $10. Some of them are a lot more. Donate that money to UNICEF for Ukraine. Donate it to the Red Cross for Ukraine. Donate it to there's a lot of charities that are, right there on the ground, so that we have human beings who right now, I just saw a news article that the hospital, women, women were pregnant. Women are pregnant. They're delivering babies in old bomb shelters from World War II. They're delivering babies and setting up hospital units in underground bunkers. I think one of them is set up in a subway, like the underground subway system. So, while I think it's great that we are stitching these pieces, I really encourage you that if you can, you do something more tangible to the people in Ukraine. And while I feel this may sound weird to some people because, you know, Russia is attacking. Russia's leadership has chosen this path. And there's a lot of people in Russia who don't support this and but don't have an alternative. And that's not to make it right. And that's not to give, you know, and there's a whole, you know, well, okay, but kind of thing. And a lot of the people that they're, a lot of the men that are on carrying weapons are very young. I saw something where the average soldier is only 19 or 20. These are kids. And they don't, like, we need to look at the leadership. So that said, okay, so I'm not excusing it, okay? But we have companies like Owl Forest, who does beautiful work. Their hearts are breaking too. So while we're supporting Russian designers and the Ukrainian designers, and I absolutely support that, I am not, like, I'm not going to not support Owl Forest. And I hope that makes sense, and I hope people aren't mad at me. But that is where my heart is still. Like, I still need to make sure that innocent is innocent. And so I don't want people to not feel like they can't. It would be a different thing if the leadership in, you know, the owners of Owl Forest were the leadership in Russia. And then I'd be like, yeah, screw you too. And the horse you rode in on. But they're not. So all that to say is, and I think this has always been my message, is understand where your money goes and who it's actually supporting. The other thing is Etsy has come out with some new guidelines for sellers. So now, like, if we buy those instant downloads, which I love, like, and I have some haul, and I finally printed them out. If your order is that with a shop, like, many of us will purchase like 1 or 2 downloads from a shop, and they're like, you know, you're spending $8 or $10 because, you know, you can get a pattern fairly cheap on Etsy. Until your order reaches 20, and then it's an automatic payout. Apparently, for those of us who, like, I just bought some cryptids from, I think, the Witchy Lola Crow designs. Each one of them was only like $3, and some of them I bought together, but some of them I was like, oh, she had a sale, and my whole order still only came to like $12. Until I actually download that pattern, Etsy didn't pay her. So also be aware of that. Like, some of us, like, I don't always download my patterns right away, and now I will make it a conscious point to do that. So yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff going on. A whole lot of stuff. And so the other thing I want to encourage you guys, because we're all friends, don't forget to nurture your own soul. Taking all of this information in, and then processing through it. And if you're like me, your brain automatically jumps to, okay, but how can I help? Like, how do I help solve this problem? What do I do to my dogs are running. You know, how do I help? And it can be very overwhelming and draining on my soul. And so I need to go back to my paper planner. I'm an old school paper planner kind of girl. And start scheduling in some of those. I hate the term self-care. Like, I don't know, it's not my term, but I don't have a better term, but to take those times to just make sure that I am doing something that just kind of, like, I've been stepping away from social media a little bit more. You'll notice even on my Instagram feed, I haven't been posting as much. The flip side is I also, like, I've stitched, but I'm stitching on pieces that are sort of helping me heal things or reminding me of good things and stuff like that. So again, I'm just really encouraging. And if there is something that I can do to help you, please reach out. Okay. So, um, we are back up to having an A in web design because he graded a couple of things, including my extra credit. So now I have an A again. I have an A in anatomy and physiology. Right now I'm at a B plus in sign language. There's a lot of things he hasn't graded. So I'm a little, I never know. And I wish some of those stupid, like some of the quizzes, like I know that what the signer is signing is wrong, but to, like the way they describe like the choices for what's wrong, I'm like, yeah, I never picked the right one. But I know the statement is wrong. And I knew it was like comparing. I don't need it to tell me it's wrong. I know it's wrong. Uh, so yeah. So and I always think I'm picking the right. Like I can go, okay, that's not what that says. That's not the right sign. But right sign isn't an like sign choice is not an option. And so I'm like, so I never do well on those little quizzes, which is kind of take my grade. But um, all of the rest of them. But he hasn't anything that we've had to video. He hasn't graded yet, and that's a lot of points. But he did say that he adds 10 points to our grade. If he does that, that may, and I did well on the video stuff, um, that may bump me up into the A minus range. So fingers crossed. Okay. So now that we're on the, and then I have to decide this summer, do I want to take full-time classes or just take what will essentially be 2 classes or 5 credits? So I want to meet with one of the counselors that was recommended because they're very familiar with the sign language program, as well as I believe the sign language certification here in Michigan. Because I'm not sure if I don't technically need to take ASL 5 and 6, which is only offered during the summer. But part of me thinks maybe I should so that I have that information for when I sit for my certification test. So we'll see. Okay, so we always do. I try to teach you signs. So we know the sign for like. Um, we know the sign for have. My dog is eating a piece of a tennis ball. My dogs eat tennis balls. And I even buy those like really hardcore Kong toys that they're not supposed to destroy. Yeah, they do. My dogs can. The big dog especially. So, okay, so sign of the week. We have been focusing on houses, things in your house. So this is a sign for room. Take your hands flat and you go like this and then like this. So room, bed, room, like my bedroom. We're talking about your dream. So 2 fingers, dream. And you got to kind of wiggle it like your dream. Dream room is what? My dream room is big with lots of windows so I can see the beach. I love the water. So there are several signs for you, but room. bedroom, kitchen, because that's cook. It's also a sign for pancakes. So you could do kitchen with a K or just flat hand. So kitchen, you know, look. Could teach you the signs for cleaning, but who likes cleaning? Not me. No. So, okay. So let's so WIPCO numbers were pulled. We talked about that. My WIPCO numbers for next month, or were we, had they been pulled last week? My WIPCO numbers for pieces for next year, next month, are the Matryoshka doll cell from Lakeside Needles, and then also my big present for my coach, the big black and white one from Unconventional Cross Stitch. I did finish my second goal for this month, and that was 10 days on Modern Folk Embroidery Fruit of Plenty Sal. Jacob DeGraff did an amazing job. I had started it, when I started my 10 days on it, I didn't even have January's block finished. There was an error. I had made a counting error last February, set it aside, and never got back to it. I think I had tried to pick it up, couldn't quite figure out where my mistake was, and was like, screw it, and put it back down. I picked it up this time, figured out where the error was, figured out I'd have to rip out a whole lot. So, yeah. So, to be honest, and in the era of transparency, I actually stitched over some of the wrong stitches with the right color. I don't think you can really tell, and I don't really care, because if you're that up and close and personal in my stitching, when it's going to hang on my wall, we've got bigger problems than whether or not I had a counting mistake that I fixed. So, I am doing, my two main colors are DMC 310 and DMC 646. Is it 646? Well, I believe it is 646. I had put, I ran out of floss drops. It makes me sad. If anybody can, I know this one's from Janet Jabber, which I love. I was doing like my ones that I haven't like separated my strands through the bigger hole, and then if I had like this one, I just have 2 or 3 out of that strand left. I was doing them on this side, but if you all remember, my Nigel, my little dog, is kind of a butthead, and he ate some of my bobbins, and so then I put them on the other ends because I didn't have any more floss tags. I've got to figure out. I have a Cricut. I got to figure out how to make them. And like Janet's is too like Janet, how did you get them to stick together or be thicker? Like they're thick. They're not flimsy. Um. So, and they're nice. Typically, I write the color number on the back. For some reason, I didn't do that, but I pulled this one off my cone. I have the Cone of Doom. Um. So yeah. So I am. Those are my main colors, and then I'm adding pops of color here and there. I was partway through February. I am now all the way done with February. I am all the way done with March. And I have started April's. I actually don't want to, so I'm done with my 10 days. So technically I've met the goal and I can cross it off my WIP goal. But I kind of don't want to put it down. Like I want to just kind of keep pushing and finish it. Which would mean I'd essentially have to skip. If I skipped March for the most part and just kept stitching on this, I could probably finish it all in March. So that begs the question, do I do that and then like maybe later on in the year? But then I was like, okay, that puts, if for me to count it as a day, I have to stitch at least 100 stitches. That's just my mental rule. So any project is going to get, if I need it all 10 days to finish or to work on something, because some of them I finished faster than 10 days. And I still have a couple on my board that will finish in, you know, hopefully in less than 10 days. Um, so that's at least 1,000 stitches into every project. That's called. So next month's, John's gift is for sure not getting a finish. And because I've barely started, I'm not even sure I have 100 pages into it. And the nesting dolls, because I'm still on January's doll, I will let, in 10 days, I'll finish January's doll. I don't know that I'll get February's doll done, but I'm sure that's not going to be a finish. The next time I will likely see a finish on my board is the month that either Plant Love is called, maybe the Space Cell, and maybe my Unicorn. If I only do one repeat on the Zimmerman coverlet instead of 3, if I only do 1, which I am kind of leaning towards, and then turning it into like a bolster pillow, that will, 10 days will likely give me a finish on that as well. But all the rest of them, honestly, they're huge pieces. That said, what I have, like last year, I learned so much in doing WIPCO last year that when I did this board, I did it very different than I did it last time. I've already learned more, so that next year when I set up my board, I'm still going to do the 10-day thing that works really well for me. But I think on my bigger pieces, I may put them in more than one square, which I think will be pretty cool. Okay. So the only other, so I finished that. I actually took that when I had my colonoscopy. I worked on that as I was waiting, which that went okay. We're still technically waiting for the results. They have determined that there's some, it's not a total obstruction, but there is some in there that isn't, even with all of the prep, and I drank it all, it was nasty and stuff. There was still, like, I still have some small obstruction of stuff in there. And the one like there's some thickening in my abdominal wall. That does not necessarily mean that that is anything bad. What that could mean is that I have some sort of inflammatory process going on. Not a big surprise. It could be, it could be something as easy as Crohn's or lupus. Nobody is at this point. Nobody. We've taken a lot of biopsies. There were biopsies taken. Well, and they're going to test the pathology, obviously, for that. But nobody is. The fear that it's cancer has kind of gone down, and that's a good thing, because essentially everything else is manageable, and that's the way I like to look at things. Like, okay, maybe that's a huge word or a huge diagnosis, but can we manage it? And the answer is yes. So, so I worked on that while I was at the hospital, and then with all of the filming, it was a little tricky. Normally on the weekends I get some stitchy time in, and I didn't quite get that, but I did get some in, and I worked on. So this weekend, especially after hearing that interview and getting that information, I pulled out my self-love sampler. It is by Birdie's Crossing, and we're all doing the self-love sal. There's several of us doing it. Janet's going to start hers. I know she was still trying to figure out colors, and I cannot wait to see what she picks because I always I love seeing other people's colorings, and they may not be colors I would ever pick for me, and that's okay. My dog bells. Ladies, gentlemen. Um, and then there's other people's colors who I'm always like, oh, I need those colors. Janet is usually one of those where I'm like, I want those colors. Megan from Georgia Girl Stitching, her and my coloring, a lot of those beach vibes are the same, which is kind of fun. What I'm finding though is like right now, and I think it's because I'm in such an emotional upheaval. I don't know. Does everybody else like? Does your stitching like when you want like what you want to stitch? Is that emotional based for you? Because like right now, I'm feeling very all over the map with things and emotions, and it's kicked up my anxiety. It's kicked up my ADHD big time. And so I'm having a really hard time settling, and I'm finding like I want a new piece. I need something totally like to just kind of like I can't deal with anything that I'm currently working on. I need something totally new to just kind of like wash it all away or to I don't know. I can't describe it. So I sort of want to pull out a new piece. If I do, I know where my heart is like where my brain is kind of pulling me to participate like what piece it is. But I'm also trying to be very disciplined and really focus in on like my whip go and my no new start piece. And the piece that I want to pull out isn't on either one of those. And technically, I don't have a spot on my no new starts that I could. I don't like. I don't think I have a spot that size wise that I can even pull it in at. And so I'm just really struggling with that because like I love the self-love sampler. You guys know I love this piece. And I love my colors. But like my heart is being pulled like right now I just kind of want to go to a different piece and I don't know why. I don't know why. And I'm really trying like again I'm really trying to focus and maybe I do just need to give myself the grace to just go start the new piece. Who cares? I don't know. So I did work some on self-love. The colors actually do show up better in person, and it sucks that they're not showing up well. But I have the first row, the first page. That's the entire width of the first page, and then I've got more of this motif. I still haven't done the crowns. I need to get to Michael's or to Joann's or someplace and pick up the. I've got to see if I like the silver or if I'm gonna do like a coppery color. Maybe the coppery color would be really pretty because you know those are my flosses after the teeny tiny dog ate my bobbins. Yeah. So I would like I'd like to keep going on this. I really do want this up on my wall as soon as possible because I love this piece. And I've loved it since I saw it. Like, and I don't remember who showed it first, and I was like in love with it then. And now I want to do it even more. So the other thing is in March, we're doing Stitch Asia. And I pulled out my piece for that. And this is my little, he's a Daruma doll. Am I saying that right? And so like, what happens is when you make the wish, you put in the one eye. And when your wish happens, you put in his other eye. So she's got him finished as kind of like a little flat, but I'm going to figure out how to make him like a little a little ball to kind of sit here. They are, I did research, and they are traditionally red. Um, because now I'm like, well, maybe I want to do more than one. So what I may do, because they give you, she gives you two sets of magnet eye. I may go ahead and when I stitch him, I may stitch in the one eye and then make it so that when the wish happens, the other eye will be a magnet. And then I can stitch at least two. I'd have two magnet eyes. But I just think he's really cool. She is on Etsy. She has her own website, and it is Jonesy Stitchery. She's super sweet. She's on Instagram as well. So she sends you the little eyeballs. They're super. They're like the little. They come in this. So I mean, I probably could reach out to her and ask her if I could buy more eyeballs, which I actually may do. But this should is Kelly's famous words. We all know that. When I say something is going to, it'll stitch up really quick. We all know that means it will take Kelly 3 years to do this. But March is 30 days. There's March 31. Whatever. There's more than 20 days in March. So if I do 10 days on each of my Whip Go pieces, that leaves me 10 or 11 days to play with. And so I have the spots on my no starts for smalls. So my little Daruma doll, and I hope I'm saying that right. And if I'm not, please tell me. He's a small. I don't know why I think it's a he. I don't know that in any of the reading I've ever seen does it say that it's always a little boy or he. But my Daruma doll is my Stitch Asia piece, and I cannot wait to have him done. The other thing that I pulled to do so that I have little ornaments for St. Patrick's Day is I pulled out, last year I bought my Primrose Cottage Stitches, Irish Kisses, and it says Shamrock Wishes and Irish Kisses, and I think that's super cute. And again, it's like two colors of green. I don't pick. It's 2 colors of green. It's only 41 by 64. I mean, that should be like one evening of stitching, really. And letters seem to go, for me at least, kind of fast. So that should be like one evening. Should. And then the other one is by Helen D, and she put it out, and it was a freebie, and she's got them for I think she's done Easter and 4th of July, and she did Christmas. I don't know that she's done I don't recall offhand any of the other holidays. Now she's charted it in 310 and then 729, which is an old gold color, like a gold, and I totally understand why she did that. But if you go to her Instagram, you can link to her like link tree, and you can download them for free. But I'm gonna whip up that as well. But I'm not gonna do 310. I'm gonna do I think probably 700, which is a nice bright green. And I may do for Pot of Gold. She has the O charted in the medium gold. I may use either Etoile or I hate metallic floss. It is like the devil's butt hair. It's gross. It's not fun to work with. So I may use Etoile. I may use Diamant or Diamant. That seems to lay a little bit easier or nicer. So we'll see. We'll see. I saw somebody on Instagram did it green, and then for rainbows they did rainbow colored. That may happen. I don't know. I don't know. When it gets here, and I'll do it. Um, so I finally printed off all of my Etsy stuff, my Etsy shopping. Um, as most of you know, I have the Disney Princess, Epic Disney Princess by Sal by Clouds Factory. Um, I have a huge piece. It's on my WhipGo board for 10 days. We all know that's not going to be a finish in 10 days. And especially because Kelly keeps buying more patterns to add to it. Because while I love me the Disney Princess, and for those of you who have bought that pattern or are doing it, Clouds Factory just released in the last week or two Encanto. So you can add Encanto, which is not technically a Disney princess. So you will need to buy it because when we all ordered last year when we did the princess one, the next two princesses were included with your pattern. But Encanto is not counted because Marabella is not at this point considered a Disney princess. Okay, so I am a Disney fanatic. I love me some Disney. Love me some Disney and Pixar. And so if you go on Etsy and you go to the Ivory Needle, um, Yvonne has charted out many of the other Disney movies, and I know that she is working on more of them as well. The other thing that she has done, Clouds Factory has a princess castle, but it's not like the specific ones that are at the park. So Yvonne from Ivory Needle charted out Sleeping Beauties and Cinderellas. So on mine, I think what I figured out right now, if she comes out with the other patterns or when she comes out with the other patterns that I'm looking for, as far as movies, um, I think I end up needing to do 5 rows across. 5 rows of, I think, 10 down. If you are looking for fabric that big at a cost-effective point and you're looking for Ada, where you're going to want to go is Rita Renee's on Facebook. You literally can get 60-inch wide 14, 16, and 18 count Ada for like $7 a yard plus shipping. She may have had to raise her prices a little bit. I don't know because the last time I bought like 20 yards. Because we all know I don't do smalls. Okay, so I do itty bitties and I do god awful huge pieces. I don't tend to do like the in betweens. um, but Yvonne is, and then you can dye it any color that you want because she usually sells like just like an antique white. Sometimes she has white, but that's kind of, it depends. And she has cream, but you can dye that. Like I've dyed tons of her stuff, and it's not like the plasticky. Um, like if you buy Ada and you buy the Michael or not Michael's, the Joann's brand, it feels kind of plasticky. Rita's is not like that. You can tell it's a cotton. It's a nice. I stitch in hand. It's a nice piece of fabric. Um, so highly recommend her. Okay, so going back to Yvonne. Yvonne has charted out the other. She's charted out Sleeping Beauty and Cinderella's castles, which is Disneyland and Disney World's castles, and they look very much respectively like that. Um, but she's also charted out a lot of the other movies, and I've now purchased all of the ones that she has available. Um, so adding to my mix, I now have, and my printer prints their pictures weird. It always seems to cut off like the edges, but whatever. I have the Aristocats because we all need the Aristocats. I love the Aristocats. Um, the Fox and the Hound. How do you not love Copper and Todd? Really? So cute. So cute. And Toy Story with Rex. And I will tell you that the three-eyed aliens are on here. They got cut off, and so is Ham. I don't remember offhand if Jessie is on here. But here's the thing about Yvonne. If you message her and say, hey, could you chart out Jessie to add to the Toy Story one? Or could you chart out, like, I know she hasn't done, and I can't wait. I have my list. I have my list because I was like, do I have that one? I don't know. Because, you know, there's a lot of movies. There's a lot of Disney. So she did she's done Peter Pan, she's done Winnie the Pooh, which, my heart is Winnie the Pooh. Lady and the Tramp, she's got Mickey, Minnie, Donald, Daisy, Goofy, Pluto kind of thing. So the Fab Five is what they're called. She's done The Black Cauldron, Lady and the Tramp, Toy Story, Sword in the Stone, Robin Hood, 101 Dalmatians, Alice in Wonderland, The Rescuers. Yvonne has done The Jungle Book, Peter Pan, and now Toy Story, Fox and the Hound, and Aristocats. So right now, between that and the ones that are from Cloud's Factory, I have 29 Disney movies. 29. However, we still need, and I know she's working on it, like Hunchback and Hercules, Tarzan. We need the Emperor's New Groove. So I know she's working on some of those. And then, you know, she may, so, but if there's one that you're like really wanting faster than others, then, because I know she's working on hers as well, but she's also got other projects that she's doing, message her and she'll bump it up on her list and she'll do it. Or like, I'm gonna, you know what, I could just look at the actual pattern because on mine, so it's Three-Eyed Alien, the Bucket of Soldiers, and you backstitch the little soldiers. Okay, so Jessie is not on there. So to be honest, I might, it doesn't, that's really weird. I look like I'm missing a page to it. It doesn't look like Jessie is on there. So I may message her and ask her if she'll chart me out to add in Jessie for Toy Story, to be honest with you, because Jessie's important. Okay, so that said, so we did those. Then there is another seller on Etsy. And why isn't... Okay, if you are designing patterns and selling them like on Etsy, when you do your front page, you should put your store name on there. Because now I have this and I don't know who I bought them from. And I wish I did because they're very cool. And the other thing is I can't get her cover picture because she sends it as a PDF, as a JPEG. The cover page is a JPEG, but whenever I go to print it, it just gives me a blank page, which really sucks because now I want to show you the patterns, and they're all similar styles. So I won't go through and bore you with showing each one of them, but they're molecules, and it's like the molecule for happiness, but with the floral added. And I just think those are really, really, really cool. So I have happiness, love, adrenaline, peace, and they are actual chemical molecules for different chemicals in your brain. I think I also have caffeine, but it doesn't look like I printed that one for some reason. I'll have to go through. Okay, so we got our first installment of the Narnia sale. I have not started that, mostly because I do want to do it on opalescent fabric, and I don't have any right now. I have the spray, that is a sign for spray. Yeah, so more sign for you. Um, I just have to sit down and um, prep my fabric. So the other one is Lola Crow had a sale, and so I finally broke down and went ahead and got Mothy Valentine, the Cryptid Ornaments. So there's Loch Ness Monster, uh, Nessie Claus, Bigfoot Valentine. This one cracks me up. UFO Valentine. T-Rex Valentine. How funny is that? So I'm actually going to use this, and then I think what I'll do is I will flip him so that they're facing each other, and I'll put a veil on the other one, and maybe I'll do her in green, and then I'm going to do the wedding vows that we did for Taryn and Alex. And hopefully I will have it done for their 1-year anniversary. Dare to Dream. And then Valentine Kraken. We have the Jackalope and Sleigh. We have Christmas Bigfoot. Then I got Autumn Lanes. I had bought this a while ago, and this I'm finally printing him off. The reindeer. I have the Snowman and Mr. Claus from Just Cross Stitch magazine, and then I bought Mrs. Claus from them before. Oh yeah, see here's Caffeine. We have Mothman Christmas. I'm dead. Seriously, he's got ice skates on. Seriously. And then the Yeti for Christmas. So cute. So that is all of my haul as well. All of my stitching. My plans for next month. I did kind of clear off my dining room table so I can cut the fabric to make the project bags. I washed my project bag, and then the dog, God love him, dragged it out here, and now I can't get my zipper open. But I do need more project bags. And I need to work on a couple quilts. A friend of mine, so she thought her sister-in-law didn't want a quilt anymore because it had been sitting in the bottom of a closet, and they moved, and the sister-in-law was like, eh. Long story short, my friend then was going to make it into something else, so started to cut it. Before my friend had cut it, there was some damage to it anyways. It was, now the sister-in-law is like frantic and wants the quilt back. So she is going to pay me a buttload to try and repair it. So that is on my radar of I need to do, and I need to do, I need to sit down and sew. Part of it was I needed to make the room on the table so I could kind of do stuff. So, yeah, I am hoping during midwinter break here that I get not just work done, but some other projects so that we'll have some more to show you, because right now, but we're almost an hour in and I only have 2 pieces that I stitched on, so there's that. Sorry. So I'm going to let you go. I'm going to put away stuff and get to work. Eat something besides pull and peel Twizzlers, which I don't really like Twizzlers, but I do like the pull and peel ones. They're like soft. I don't know. They're weird. I'm weird. I did get my hearing aids. What they did not tell me, they're super little. That you kind of got to work up to wearing them. So I went from not wearing them at all to wearing them all day, and I was getting horrible migraines. And so what we figured is my brain is just kind of like, oh my God, there's so much noise now that it wasn't used to. So I've got to kind of build back up. So, or build up to wearing them all day. So we got those. But yeah, tomorrow is Fat Tuesday. If you I don't know if they have them everywhere else. I guess they don't from my understanding, but tomorrow is Punchki Day. So a punchki is a Polish donut. It's not a regular donut. They tend to be a sweeter dough because what happened was you used to use up like all your butter and your extra sugar so that because then Ash Wednesday starts and you're supposed to give up all of that, you know, stuff for Lent. Um, so you use it all up on Fat Tuesday, and so we have punchkis, and they usually fill them with like jelly or custard. They're so good. And you can only get them around here on usually like the week or two leading up to Fat Tuesday. But once Fat Tuesday passes, you won't be able to get them until next year. So I've got to go out today and get punchkis. And um, you can't just buy them like at the Meyer. I mean, they sell punchkis, but really they just supersize their regular jelly filled donut. It's not a punchki. I tried to make them one year, and the recipe that I used was not good, and I have not had time to try to make them again. There supposedly is a bakery nearby that sells gluten-free ones, so I may try to swing over there and see if we can't get a gluten-free one, and see how that goes. We'll see. We'll see. Um, and then I don't really celebrate Lent, but one thing that I do is for that 40 days, I try to do something that is going to improve my life. So if that is going through and clearing out, like decluttering a room or learning something new or whatever, I try to do that for 40 days. So I need to get on the stick because I don't really know what I'm doing this year for those 40 days. There's a lot I could do, but I don't know. The other thing is that I got picked to be an ambassador for all things boudoir. They do boudoir. They're an all-female team that does boudoir photography um, around the states. They have several locations that they kind of rotate and travel to. They're coming to the Detroit area, so mid to end of March is my session, and I've been like, what do I wear? Like, I don't know, but that had been a bucket list item that I've wanted to do, sort of to kind of love me a little bit more and maybe see what other people see when they say, oh, you're beautiful, you're pretty, or, um, so I've got to kind of, I guess, go shopping. I'm going to make an appointment with my friend to do my hair that morning, so I don't have to worry about any of that. So yeah, crazy, crazy things are happening. So with that said, I'm going to let you guys go. I will see you next week. Next week, not last week, but next week, we will talk again. Um, so yeah. And as always, I'm His Princess Kelly on Instagram. Feel free to reach out. I'm His Princess Kelly on TikTok too. Um, but yeah, let me know if I can do something for you, and we will talk then. Um, by the way, Janet, I owe you a present because you were the only person who entered my giveaway, which is fine. Like, so I will get something special in the mail. We'll talk, and I'll get you something special. Um, so sending you guys much love, much grace, and again, my heart goes out to the Ukraine, and I am going to be looking for ways that I can make an impact for the people who are there on the ground, kind of protecting their peace and adding that to my list of things that I am consciously trying to positively impact. Um, there's the other thing, if you're looking to get involved, look at some of the legislation that's being proposed out of Texas. Um, yeah, yeah, that's the other one. There is a stitch that's going around regarding that and the treatment of children who are trans. Um, and that's another great, it's great to stitch the pattern. I believe it's a free download, but translate it into money that, make the donation to a group that is going to help trans kids in a tangible way, keep them safe, to make sure that they're getting care that they need, in a respectful way. So, so many soapboxes we could get on, but I'm going to bid you adieu. Um, oh, and the other thing is, I have elected, with everything going on, I had a lot of fun last year doing Stitch March Madness. Um, it just doesn't, I can't make it work in my brain this year. That's not to say I won't do it again next year. That's not to say I won't do a March Madness day or a weekend of stitching. But right now, it just doesn't, it, I can't do everything all of the time. And so that is what I'm kind of stepping away from this year. So, but I look forward to voting for everybody else's things, and seeing projects. I love seeing everybody's projects. So, again, I will let you go. I will talk to you later, and I hope all is well.